This is gonna be your secret weapon this summer. Hello everyone, my name is Anna and I love to try vintage recipes. So today I'm trying a recipe for sloppy Jane sandwiches from Crockery Cookery. This book was published in 1975, written by Mable Hoffman of Vision. I will talk more about this book a little bit later. So why is your slow cooker gonna be your secret weapon this summer? I think some of us tend to think of slow cookers as like winter appliances, soups, stews, warm, homey things that take a long time to cook. But really, using your slow cooker in the summer is a fantastic idea. If you want to throw everything into a pot and kind of walk away for a little bit while you go to the pool, while you work in the garden, while you do all the fun spring and summer things, the slow cooker is it. This little guy is not going to heat up your kitchen while you're cooking. And who wants to do that? Who wants to put the oven on when the temperatures are climbing? So sloppy Jane sandwiches. I've never made this recipe before. I've almost never made any of the recipes before that I make on this channel. Got my ingredients. I am cutting this recipe in half, but I will have the full recipe in the description down below. So I'm gonna start with a can of baked beans. And then 4 hot dogs. I love it when hot dogs are packaged this way, meaning 2 like Ziploc kinds of 4-packs, because I can throw one of these in the freezer. I live in a small household. If you've been with me a while, you've heard me say that before, and we can't eat all 8 of these all at once. So I can just save this one for another time. Ugh, hot dog water. It just says sliced, so that is what I'm doing. I'm kind of wondering if like diced up would also be a good idea, but I do like to follow the recipe as much, and as closely as I can the first time I make it. I think these are very summery foods as well. You have your baked beans, you have your hot dogs, like summer, summer, summer. Cook out food, but cooked inside in your slow cooker. So then I've got just some dried minced onions. Adding that in, a little bit of mustard. Did I need to measure that? Probably not. And it says some chili sauce. Chili sauce is not something that I typically buy, and I didn't want to buy an entire bottle just to have a little bit for this recipe. So after some internet sleuthing, I found that you can mix ketchup and hot sauce, or in my case, I am using sriracha. And thinking back to when I have had chili sauce, I think it does kind of taste this way. So I have my ketchup here. I'm just gonna add sort of like decent amount of sriracha. Give that a little stir. Just add that in with the other ingredients and combine. And that's what it is looking like before we cook it. So this is the very short, the very short cord on my slow cooker. I understand why they make them so short, but the outlet's over here, so I gotta move this. And this cooks on low for 2 to 3 hours. So now I can just kind of go about my business for a little while. Now you may be thinking, did she just make franks and beans? And why can't she just heat that on the stove? I think I just made franks and beans, and yes, I could cook it on the stove for just, probably 10 minutes. Basically everything in this pot is fully cooked at this point. Would it be as delicious and flavorful? Probably not. I think a lot of dishes benefit from time in the slow cooker. For example, I love to make meat sauce, and I brown my meat, I add my tomatoes and my spices. Sure, I could probably eat that 20 minutes after I put it together, but when I put that in the slow cooker for a few hours, let it simmer, let all those flavors get to know each other, magical, delicious things happen. I think that is probably what is going to happen with this dish as well. Same thing when I make sloppy joes. Yes, I can cook them on the stove, brown the meat, add the sauce, but if you put them in the slow cooker for a few hours, the texture improves, the flavor improves, it just makes everything so much better. So I am gonna go away for a couple of hours, do some other tasks, and then we'll come back and give this a taste. So Crockery Cookery, published in 1975 and written by Mable Hoffman. And when I think of the year 1975, this is it. Like, she is Ms. 1975. We've got 2 slow cookers in this lovely like tomatoey orange and this avocado green. I think my grandma had this dress that is like definitely 100% polyester. Like I can get behind this. It's a little echoey in here. You may have noticed the lack of books on my shelf there. There's no books over here. We had new carpet installed several weeks ago, and I haven't quite gotten everything back to normal. I actually ordered additional bookshelves because my collection is growing and I just kind of took this opportunity to move everything around in my office. So please pardon the echo. So a little bit about Mable before we get started. Like there's an entire little sort of biography down here. She was a food stylist and editorial consultant for none other than Better Homes and Gardens. So I am guessing that I have definitely seen her work. I've definitely shown some of it on this channel through all of my Better Homes and Gardens cookbooks that I own. Some of my favorites, like some of the best food styling, some of the best tablescapes. That could have been thanks to Mable. I don't know. I should really look. I wonder if they actually list some of the food stylists like in those individual books. When it comes to slow cookers, in general, this book is incredibly detailed. And when I say that, you know, it's got all of the tested recipes. They've been tested in like all of these brands of slow cookers that were available in 1975. I don't think there are nearly as many now as there were then. That was kind of like a pretty big slow cooker boom. They were a little bit new. One of my favorite things about this book is there's just like all of these incredible photos of slow cookers of the time. So different styles, you know, different brands. Like, look at these. These are so much fun to just look at if you're sort of like a housewares enthusiast like I am. I feel like this one, like the rival crockpot, that is like the one that people have, really. I mean, I think I'm gonna say that Rival's probably is still at the top of the game when it comes to slow cookers. I could be wrong, but like I think they actually trademarked the word crockpot, and I think that's a lot of us call it that. Just look at this. And then they even have bean pots. So I actually have one of these pots, but I don't have the base for it, so I can't cook in it. I usually just store things, but just incredibly detailed when it comes to these like temperature charts, you know, how long it takes to get to those temperatures. Just really, like, Mable did her homework, as did probably the other people who worked on this book. Pretty incredible. Broken down into chapters, the first one being beef. Lots of beef recipes that involve like tougher cuts of meat. But then it's really funny to me because it starts with beef and then the second chapter is actually called other meats. So like everything else is in here. You know, you've got your lamb, you've got your pork, you've got like anything else basically. There is a chapter, I believe poultry, yes, poultry is separate, but the other meats didn't warrant their own individual chapters. So in addition to like meats and poultries, we also have a chapter that is exclusively beans, which I love. I love beans personally, but dry beans really do lend themselves well to cooking in a slow cooker. There's lots of different like bean soups in here and just different bean dishes. Pizza beans, like I have to try that. I think that sounds pretty good, and like pizza and beans, I don't know, it could be interesting. There's also a chapter fruits and desserts. I don't make a lot of desserts in the slow cooker. I almost never like bake in the slow cooker either. I know a lot of people who do, but that is not something that I've ventured into, so maybe I should give that a shot. A lot of the photos in this book are in black and white, which, you know, I don't enjoy as much, but because they're mostly in black and white, when you find a color photo like this lasagna, I mean, it's just all the more fun to look at. Although this lasagna it doesn't look like any lasagna that I have ever made. Tons of meatballs, like meatballs simmered in a sauce. They just do really well in a slow cooker. Got your stuffed cabbage. I feel like the slow cooker is supposed to make things easier. So I was a little bit surprised when some of these recipes that I looked at when I was like trying to find one to prepare, they have you cook something in a slow cooker and then transfer it to a casserole dish and then bake it for like 20 to 30 minutes, which I'm like, Mable, that kind of defeats the purpose to me. I do make a few recipes where I brown some ground beef before I place it in the slow cooker. That doesn't take very long. You know, that's different. To me, the bulk of the cooking for a slow cooker recipe should be done in the slow cooker. Busy woman's roast chicken. I feel like in the 60s and 70s especially, a lot of recipes, there were several recipes that were named like busy women's something, busy women's this, so we could tell that there was definitely some targeting going on. Look at that colorful feast. Soy glazed spare ribs, looks like we've got some Brussels sprouts there. I don't know what these are, but I want to try them. Maybe like deviled potatoes or something like that. They look very appetizing. As far as like purchasing a slow cooker of your own, definitely, I don't even know if they make them anymore, but I know at one point you could get slow cookers where the crock was not removable. Big mistake. Huge mistake. Definitely, if you're gonna get a big slow cooker, get something where you can take the crock out separately and wash it. Just makes things a lot easier. I do have a little dipper, if you know what that is. It's like a tiny little crock pot where you only holds like a cup or maybe two, and you can put dips in it to keep it warm. That, you know, the crock doesn't come out, but it's pretty easy to wash because it's small. When you get into like a larger sized slow cooker, like you definitely need that removable crock. Since this book came out in 1975, it was probably one of the earlier slow cooker books out there. And I have seen this book out in the wild at thrift stores and stuff several times, different editions, different bindings. This was definitely something you could gift to someone along with a slow cooker so that they could learn how to use it and that kind of thing. If you have this book in your collection, do let me know. Tell me if you've ever tried any of the recipes. I would love to hear about it. So I let this cook for about 2.5 hours. That is what it is looking like. Very simmered. You're supposed to serve this with toasted hot dog buns, and I have hamburger buns, so that's what I'm gonna use, like who cares. But I did toast this, ooh, almost dropped it. I did toast this by spreading the insides with just a very thin layer of butter and then cooking this in a pan over low heat. That's just the way that I do it. There are lots of other ways you could do it, and you don't have to toast this, of course. I do think that with any type of saucy mixture that's gonna go on a bun, that the toasting kind of creates a barrier so that the bun doesn't get soggy. So let's build our little sandwich. Oh boy, it's sloppy. I should know this. This is not gonna be a neat sandwich. It's in the name. This could be a fork and knife sandwich. Kind of like beans on toast. Oh my. Do I pick this up? What do I do? I'm gonna try my best here. And I'm probably gonna drop some food on the counter. Please forgive me. Oh yes, it is falling apart. That was indeed sloppy. Initial first thoughts. It tastes pretty good. It's franks and beans basically on a bun, which isn't a bad thing. Not if you ask me. I think it's a little bit sloppier or messier than a regular sloppy joe because it is so saucy. Like there's a lot of sauce in here, but I think it tastes pretty dang good. I think I was correct about the benefit of like slow cooking something. The flavors in this, like they're definitely more developed. I can taste like that little bit of kick from the sriracha I added, the tanginess of the mustard. It was definitely a good idea to slow cook this, even though all of the ingredients are fully cooked before you even put them in the slow cooker. I'm gonna taste like the individual components here. It's tasty. It's good. Do you have to serve this on a bun? I don't think so. I think you could probably just serve this as a side dish and people would be perfectly happy with it. Very nostalgic, very much a like food of someone's childhood, I think. So this is just an example of one slow cooker recipe that you could cook this summer. I have a couple of other ones on my channel, including my very, very favorite cream cheese chicken recipe. I will go ahead and link that in the description down below. I hope you like this video, and please do let me know if you try this vintage recipe from 1975. I love to make videos about food, vintage cookbooks, and retro recipes, so if you know someone who loves those things, please share this video with them. It really does help my channel grow by reaching a larger audience. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.